Hey guys, KingFanMan here. I am so excited about the series called the Patreon Podcast with the King. It is one of my very favorites. I have been looking for some time for some unique ways to show my Patreons just how much I appreciate them. And I also wanted to get to know them just a little bit better too. So that's where this idea came from. But you know what? One of the best surprises is just how much game knowledge my Patreons have. I have had a blast with every episode, and I know you will enjoy them too. So sit back and enjoy the Patreon Podcast with the King. Welcome to this week's episode of Patreon Podcast with the King. I have Jace with me, and first of all, Jace, I want to thank you for your support as a Patreon. I appreciate that more than you know, but welcome to the Patreon Podcast with the King. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, King. It's a pleasure to be here finally on your channel.
Absolutely. Would you tell me just a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you can probably guess from my accent, I live in the UK, 37 years old, and probably been gaming for most of my life. Love all games, but Bethesda does hold a special place in my heart ever since I played Fallout 3 for the first time.
Was that your first Bethesda game?
I think it is. I can't remember if the original Wolfenstein was that Bethesda.
Oh yeah, well it actually wasn't at the time. It was id Software, but yes, I played Wolfenstein first too, but Fallout 3 was my actual first Bethesda game. But yeah, I played Wolfenstein before that too. That's so weird. I talked to so many people that Fallout 3 was their first, either Morrowind or Fallout 3. But that is so strange. But yeah, I did play Wolfenstein first, but it was actually id back then, before id became part of Bethesda. That's wild.
Yeah.
That is so wild. Yeah, Fallout 3 got a lot of people to be Bethesda fans, no doubt. Well, we'll talk about Fallout 3 in just a little bit, no doubt. Well, again, Jace, thank you so much for your support. It means more than you can absolutely know. Well, before Bethesda, what got you into gaming originally? Let's go way back, because you said you've been into gaming a long, long time. What got you into gaming originally as a little kid?
My dad had an Amiga 500, so I probably started out on the 8 megabyte games on that.
Yeah.
Didn't quite get into it until I got my first Sega. After that, that was it. I was hooked. And then my next console was the PS1. That was just mind blowing when it came out. And I don't know, it's everyone I know isn't a gamer. And they say, oh, I don't know why you game so much, but it's kind of like you can live a different life, see different things. I mean, yeah, it's not real, but it just gives you an opportunity to do things that you wouldn't be able to do in real life.
Absolutely. You put it perfectly. And I love to talk to somebody, you're not quite my age, but from my generation, where you're talking about the Sega, and you probably even remember the old arcades and all that. Oh, man.
Yep.
I
had to download all the classic arcade games onto my phone.
Yes.
Still play them.
Absolutely. But of course, and I don't know if you remember this, I even remember the very first Atari game that came out, and I was just blown away. You can actually have a video game at your house, you know. That's how old I am. So, well, what was your first gaming system? I think you just said that. It was before the Sega, you said.
Yeah, an Amiga 500.
An Amiga 500. Well, I loved the Sega, and I have to talk about the Sega for a minute, and you can talk about the other one. The Sega, we called it the Frankenstein because it went from, what was it, the 16-bit to the 32-bit, and then it went to the Sega CD. Did you do that with your Sega? Where you added all the parts?
I think mine was the 32-bit.
Okay.
And I only had the one.
Yeah, because I had to add the piece to get it to 32-bit so I could play Doom. I remember that. Mine was the 16-bit, and I had to add the piece that stuck in the top so I could play Doom. I had to get it so I could play Doom. I remember that. Yep.
I miss the old cartridges. I mean,
Oh
now
yeah.
it's gone more digital, but with CDs, tiny little scratch, that's it. But
Yeah.
those things, I
Oh,
swear
the
you could run over them.
cartridges. Yeah, you could throw them across the room. All you had to do is blow in them, and they were fine. That's right. What are some of the games you had on that first system, if you remember?
I had Sonic. I do love the Sonic games.
Uh huh.
Golden Axe. I was a big fan of Golden Axe.
Yeah.
I had a few strange ones that I can't even remember the name. It was sort of a bit more of a Japanese feel to them, where it's kind of like you were Gundam. Can't remember the name of that. I had a couple of those. Lethal Enforcers with gun. That was one of my favorites. Streets of Rage. Played
Oh
a lot of
yes.
Streets of Rage.
Now you told me
Uh,
before the podcast that some of your first RPGs, which are still some of your favorite, are the Final Fantasies.
yeah, yep. Never really played an RPG. Didn't know what to expect. And one day I just saw this game. It was Final Fantasy VII, and it was really expensive. And I was like, "Why is it triple the price of a normal game?" I bought it, and I fell in love with that game. Its characters, the storyline. I played it over and over, beginning to end. It was my first RPG, and it's still probably one of my favorite ones, if not the favorite.
How many of the Final Fantasies have you played?
I've played 7, 8, 9, 10. Spent a lot of years playing 11 online.
Wow.
I've played 12, 13. Didn't really get into those. It went a bit weird. Played 14 for a bit, and I played 15. Didn't really think that much of 15 though.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. So your first real Bethesda game, Fallout 3. I can tell you my experience, and of course you already had the Final Fantasy. You're talking about the RPG, so you probably already had this experience. But in Fallout 3, I came out of the vault because a RPG is like this, but a Bethesda game is like this. It's totally different than any kind of game you've ever played. I was so overwhelmed when I came out of the vault. It was just like, what do you do now? Because every other game holds your hand, and Fallout games do not hold your hand. They don't tell you what to do. But once I understood kind of the groove, I was hooked. Were you kind of like that with Fallout 3?
Yeah, I mean, the first bit when I was in the vault doing the test, it was the first time I'd done something like that, and I really didn't know what to expect. I was confused, and I was like, "What's going on here?" Came out of that vault, and that bit where the sun hits your eyes and you see the wasteland for the first time. I was like, "What do I do now?" And the game was pretty much like, "Do whatever you want to do."
Yeah.
So I think the first playthrough, I explored a lot before actually doing the storyline. And the funny thing about the storyline is I actually lived in Spain when I got it, and it was dubbed in Spanish. And then a few years later, I got the same game, but in English. And I never realized that Liam Neeson played the voice of the father.
Yeah.
The first time I played it, it's like, I know that voice. And Ron Perlman, I was like, I know those voices.
Yeah.
And I just didn't expect to find that sort of caliber actors in the game. But yeah, once I got that free roaming taste, that was it. I was hooked.
I never thought about people in other languages didn't get to hear those voice actors, but that's true. All right, here's one of the toughest questions I'm going to ask you today. What is your favorite Bethesda game?
Oh God.
Yeah, putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, I like them all. I played Fallout 4 for about a year, but I think 76, it just has that replayability, and I think I'd have to go with 76 just for
very great, awesome.
everything.
And here's a question that's going to go right along with that, and maybe this will ease it up a little bit. What's your top 5 favorite games of all time?
So 76 is definitely up there. Final Fantasy VII, the original one.
Yeah.
I really need to play the remake. Ark, I'm a big fan of Ark. Played quite a few years on that. And for the other two, Witcher. The Witcher's definitely up there as well, and probably Red Dead Redemption, the first one, because that ending just really hit me where it hurts.
Yeah, Now I'm going to mention another game, and you might go, "Oh man, I forgot." What about Skyrim? Because me and you talked about it.
Oh,
Yeah, see, you forgot. There's a game I gave what feels like half of my life to.
yeah, same. I replayed it. I don't know how many times from beginning to end. All the DLCs, different builds, usually the same race, which is Khajiit. Uh, I explored every square inch of that place. And then a couple of years ago, my son, he was 3, 4 at the time. He really enjoyed just sitting there watching me play it and telling me what to do and where to go. So I replayed it all over again recently.
And speaking of your son, didn't you want to say something to your son?
Yep, because he's not going to believe his dad's on YouTube. So I'd like to say a big hello to my son Carter, and I really hope he enjoys this video.
All right. Well, hello, Carter. Awesome. Glad you're listening. Since you mentioned 76, and since it's one of your favorite games, and it is definitely become one of my very favorite Fallout games and one of my favorite games. First, when did you start playing? How early in the game did you start playing 76?
Well, when I heard about it, I didn't play straight away. I wanted to see what the reviews were like, and it had a lot of issues to begin with. So I knew I was going to play it, but I gave it some time to sort of get going and fix some issues. And I started playing last summer.
Okay, so you've been playing quite a while.
I mean, if I wish I'd started earlier, got all like sort of the legacies that everybody else seems to have, but I didn't want to jump into something that was still a bit glitchy in places.
Right.
So I'm really glad I let it get established and then jumped into it.
You know, one of the things that I loved about 76 before Wastelanders came, you talked about Fallout 3, go anywhere, do anything. That, and you still can to some extent, but that was Fallout 76 before Wastelanders. You literally could go anywhere and do anything, and you still can because it is so wide open. Even the main story, you can do it. You don't have to do it in order. It's so wild. I love the game. It is so amazing. The future of 76. This may be the most exciting thing about 76 because they've talked about it possibly lasting 10 years or more. And the way they bring out new content is coming out literally all the time. We're talking about, on a monthly basis. We're talking about major content here, updates all the time. So what are you looking forward to in the future of Fallout 76? First, the near future. Let's talk about the near future, the things we know about. What are you looking most forward to?
For the near future, I'm probably most looking forward to hitting rank 100 in Season 1. I love camp building, and that secret door fireplace is a must-have for me. I've got one character who wears a lot of power armor, so I really want the Captain Cosmo power armor.
And that's right at the end of Season 1, right?
So that's at the end of the season. So that's my near future. That's going to be a lot of grinding.
So you're enjoying the seasons that they've added to Fallout 76, this new system that they've added.
Yeah, it makes a nice little change. Once you've done everything and been everywhere and killed everything, it gives you something to do each day with some really nice rewards in it as well. I'm a big camp builder, and some of the stuff that you can get, I really like.
It definitely gives a lot of content because, I mean, you have a lot of things to do every day. The one thing I hope it doesn't get to be old because it is a lot of grinding every day.
Yeah, it is. It's not too repetitive at the moment, but hope for the next seasons they kind of mix it up a bit and throw in something new in there.
Yeah, by season 5 or 6, it might get old if they don't change it. Yeah.
Definitely.
What about the Brotherhood of Steel quests that are coming? Are you excited about those?
Oh, I'm very excited about that. I love the Brotherhood of Steel ever since I met them for the first time in Fallout 3. I love the armor. But in Fallout 76, most of my characters are raiders, so instead of siding with them, I think I may have to shoot them just to keep in the whole role play element of it.
Yeah. Uh,
I feel bad, but it's got to be done.
do you think the Enclave is going to make a comeback during this? Do you think we're going to see anything new from the Enclave during the Brotherhood of Steel quest?
I think definitely. I mean, we've had a bit of Brotherhood of Steel in there where they're pretty much wiped out. But the Bunker and White Springs, I think there's definitely going to be the Enclave is definitely coming back.
That would be
Well, I hope so.
That would be so cool. I really hope so too. Well, we know that the reputation system's coming back, so there's going to have to be something. It's either going to be a split inside the Brotherhood of Steel, which might be because what is it called? Fractured Steel? Is that what the name of it's called? So it's either going to be divided between one faction of the Brotherhood and another, or your reputation is going to be between two factions anyway. But I would love to see the Enclave come back at least a little bit, or to learn a little bit more about them. That's one thing I love about Fallout 76. We have learned so much lore about this time period in the Fallout timeline.
Yeah, it's really nice to get back to kind of where it all began, where people are just coming out the vaults, and it's not 200 years in the future,
Yes.
where everything's completely different. That's one of the things I love about Fallout 76 is all the new enemies that they added in, like the mole miners and
yes.
everything. It just spice things up in the Fallout world.
Yes, and they are most of them, like the Flatwoods monster and they are actually cryptids of West Virginia. That's what's so cool.
Yeah,
The Mothman. Yeah.
I love the Mothman. I'm definitely a Mothman cultist.
And I have to mention it since we're talking about it right now. There's a Fallout TV show coming.
Yep.
And
I can't wait for that.
Of course, we don't know where it's going to be set, whether it's going to be set in Washington, D.C., whether it's going to be set in West Virginia, or who knows, it may be set in New York or California. But if it is set in West Virginia, and we're talking about the cryptids, wouldn't it be neat, or isn't it going to be neat, to see the Mothman on screen, to see the Flatwoods monster on screen, to see these cryptids, the mole miners, all of these on screen?
Yeah, I hope that. I mean, it's going to be produced by, I think it's the same people that did Westworld, so
Yes,
I've got high hopes for it.
Very high
It
quality.
would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the cryptids, and to be honest, the Scorched. I'd really like to see the Scorched Beast, especially on a
Yes,
TV show.
Yes. So yes, if it's done, and of course it would be good marketing if Bethesda did it in West Virginia. So I've said, and I've said it on other podcasts, I really think they're going to do it in Washington, D.C. I don't know why I have that feeling. And that would be great, being that I'm a very big Fallout 3 fan. But marketing-wise, since the game's going on, it would be very wise for them to do it in West Virginia. And that would be so exciting to see, where we're playing right now, all these characters come to life. That would be so neat.
Yeah, especially if they've thrown some landmarks that you see on a daily basis.
Oh,
And
yes.
when you're watching the TV series, you'll be like, oh, I've been there.
Yeah. So I've almost changed my opinion the more I talk about it on podcast. I kind of want it to be in West Virginia now, just thinking about it over and over,
Honestly, if I could have it anyway, I'd like to see something, a couple of episodes pre-war, then they explain what happened. And I would love for it to follow the Brotherhood of Steel, just to see how they formed. Well, they already
Came
formed
to
pre-war,
be,
but
yeah.
How they developed after the war and all those different splits that they had. Because, like, between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, the difference of the Brotherhood of Steel, or the way they think and do things, is quite dramatic, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, where do you think, and this is a big question, and I really want you to tell me, where do you think 76 is going? Because they have 10 years to go with this game. And with the amount of content, I mean, they can go anywhere. And that's what's so exciting. This game just keeps getting, and it does for me anyway. And you talked about it when it first came out, and we know the problems that the game had, and it was mostly negative reviews. But now you look on Steam, it has mostly positive reviews. The game's getting better and better and better. Nobody can deny that. The game's just getting better and better. Since Wastelanders, it's all gotten better. So I believe the game's going to continue to get better and better and better the more content they put in this game. So what does the future hold for this game?
I mean, I really do hope it goes on for 10 years because I love the game. What I'd really like to see is maybe some DLC maps, different areas that you can go to.
Oh, yeah, outside the map, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with people like yourself and myself, we've been playing for a while now. We've been everywhere in Appalachia. We've seen everything. There's not really any new markers for us. So a new map with a new storyline, a spin-off storyline, would be really nice to see. And like you say, since Wastelanders, it's just gone up and up and up. And at this rate, I'm really like what they're going to achieve in 10 years is I can't even imagine it. It'll be crazy.
Yes. That it's so exciting to think about what Bethesda can do with it. Because BGS is not a multiplayer studio. They're literally learning on the fly and getting better and better as they do this. So, the more they do it, the better they get with it. So it is really exciting to see what they can do with this. Well, I'm gonna change directions because really, this podcast goes quicker than we realize. We've been doing this a long time, so we have to hurry. There are future games coming, and I'm wondering if you're excited about some future Bethesda games. There's Bethesda Softworks games that are coming very quickly. Deathloop is coming in December. Ghostwire Tokyo is coming next year, and then a little game called Starfield may be coming, maybe being announced, maybe even at QuakeCon, but probably I think it's going to be announced at E3. Are any of these games exciting to you?
To be honest, I feel really bad because I've kind of lost touch with what's coming out. Between playing Fallout 76 and work, I haven't really kept on top of what's coming out. The one I am looking forward to is Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. I really haven't kept up to date with what's coming out. There's rumors that the Final Fantasy XIV Online is coming to Xbox, which is my platform. I'd be interested in having another go at that. But no, the next Elder Scrolls is probably the next one on my wish list.
Elder Scrolls 6, yeah, but it's probably going to be 2024, 2025 before Elder Scrolls 6 hits because Starfield is going to be the next BGS game that comes out. And like I said, it's probably going to be announced at E3 this year. And then you're going to have 4 to 5 year cycle as they run through the DLC and the making of Elder Scrolls 6 before it comes out. But the Elder Scrolls 6, yes, that will be the ultimate when it comes out 2024, 2025. That will be great. If I'm still alive, good Lord willing, that will be wonderful. And then I will lose my life to it just like I did Skyrim because that was so wonderful. And can you imagine the pressure that Bethesda has on them because everybody holds up Skyrim? I mean, think about it. People are still playing Skyrim today. People are still buying Skyrim today, and it was made in 2011. That is amazing. That game is still amazing. And they're going to have to beat that with a game, like I said, in 2024, 2025. People will probably still be buying Skyrim then, So, but yes, Cyberpunk, of course, it was just delayed again, but it looks like it's going to be an amazing game as well. Well, what did we miss, Jace? This has been an amazing podcast. Believe it or not, it has just flown by. But what did we miss that you want to talk about? Is there anything in 76? Is there anything in gaming that we missed that you want to talk about?
Well, hopefully if anyone from Bethesda, the developers, are listening to this, one thing I'd love to see in 76 is vehicles.
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of Mad Max vibe to them.
You know, I have actually talked about that before, and it may sound wild, but I do believe they will come eventually in that 10-year span. I really do. I really believe they will. We've seen them in the underground in Watoga, and I believe they will be. It will not be an all the time thing, but I think it will be in a quest or something like that first. But yeah, I think there will be. And somebody will say, well, that's not lore. But believe it or not, there has been vehicles before in Fallout, and you can go back and look.
Yeah, it does make sense. There's so much junk lying around, and you can build anything with anything in that world. It makes sense that the Raiders would, make some sort of contraption.
I'm about to say, if we're building jetpacks, I think we could probably put a motorcycle together or a car or something. Yeah, I think so.
100%.
I think so, absolutely. And like I said, you can go back and look, and I believe it was in, and I don't want to misspeak because my lupus gets me, but I believe it was in Fallout 2, there was a mission with a car, and then in Brotherhood Steel or Fallout Tactics, which is not canon, but in that one there was also cars. So in 2 former Fallout games, there were vehicles.
And Brotherhood of Steel, they had that the blimp. What was it?
The Pridwen. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And believe it or not, you said if Bethesda's listening, they do listen to these, which is so neat. So yeah, they probably will hear your suggestion. And it may sound out there, but I do think it's coming. And it is kind of neat that they built that whole huge car garage there in Watoga. You wonder why they did that. Maybe it is because they have an idea for the future to have some kind of quest. That would be that would be really cool. Well, Jace, this has been so much fun. Again, thank you for being a Patreon. Thank you for all your support, and thank you for coming on here. Let me say one more thing. This is kind of a plug for you and a plug for everybody else. Patreons not only get to do this, they also get the opportunity to come on the live KingCast. So, Jace, if you ever want to, you can be a guest host on the live KingCast. And, hey, that's another chance to be on a podcast, but you can answer the questions and talk to me and Queen and do all that stuff, and boy, that's fun. And you also get the chance to be on a live stream. So see, being a Patreon, you get to do all kinds of things. So again, a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun, and again, I thank you for being on here, Jace.
No problem, King. My pleasure being on your show.
Well, guys, thank you for listening to me and Jace. We hope you have a great day. This was the episode of Patreon Podcast with the King, and we will see you guys later.